Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. This is the Deep Dive. My name is Drew Creekmur. I'm the Director of Advisory Services here at Creekmur Wealth. And I'm joined, as always, by John Creekmur, our founder and Senior Wealth Advisor. And John, we are in the midst of March Madness.
I'm looking at the brackets, Drew. I don't know. There's some things I don't agree with. I mean, seriously, I watch college basketball nonstop. I go to a bunch of games, and so I know more than the selection committee. And my favorite team doesn't have the seeding that I think they should have. So,
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
What are you going to do?
What are you gonna do? The ball's always bounced the right way.
Right. But no matter what, it's a fun time, right?
Oh,
Even if
great
we
time.
disagree with the rankings,
Love it.
It's one of the best times of year. And so,
Love
John, March Madness is going on, but some people are probably thinking, well, how does this relate to finances?
Yeah.
Right? How does this impact my retirement, my income? So when you think of March Madness, what do you think the connection is to retirement and income and investments and everything like that?
Yes, let's think about a basketball game. And so there's a lot going into the game. So even before the game begins, there's a lot of preparation.
Right.
And so it's about they're studying their opponent. They're studying their individual players to say what are their skill sets. What is their speed of running? What is their quick twitch? How do they change from one side to the other? How do they jump? They work on their position, their skill sets. Then they review game tape. And so if game tape, they're looking at their next opponent. What do they do well? How do we find some competitive advantage? But then they get to the game, and then it's about execution. And think about a game, NCAA basketball, you have two 20-minute halves as far as the men's side. And in that 40 minutes, whenever the ball gets moving, and we have individual people, 5 on each team, and then you have 3 referees, and then you have coaches, all making individual decisions, one individual's decision can greatly influence or affect what the other person does. Right. It is the exact same scenario in our wealth management. And so we think about it, there's preparation season, there's research, there's understanding. We set a goal. The goal is to win a championship. Yeah. But if we only focus on the goal and not the process, then we're not going to actually become close to achieving the goal. Same way with wealth management. What is your goal? What is you're trying to achieve? And for some it's retirement, for some it's a lifestyle, for some it's impact, for some it's legacy. Some it's clearly defined exactly what it is. This is successful outcome for me. And so we define that. Then it's about looking at all the players. Well, what are the players that affect the game, the retirement game? I mean,
investments, taxes, right? Income.
Yeah, income. And then looking at every one of them and say, hey, my basketball, I have a point guard. Their role is this. My point guard is not the fastest guy, and he can't shoot, but boy, never turns it over, makes a great pass.
Right.
I understand the skill set. The individual stock that you own, what are the skill sets of that individual stock? Yeah. What are the areas that is a little bit weaker for you? What are the strengths? Or maybe your tax plan is kind of like, yeah, my tax plan's lazy. It doesn't really work. It never rebounds. Yeah. It gets boxed out by a guy that's 7 inches shorter than him. Okay. Well, you need to understand the individual elements to say, let's actually properly evaluate them to make them better. So once we get to the game, and all of a sudden the tax law changes, or the economy does this, or something happens in China, totally away from our game, something happens over there, in Russia, or in Israel. How does that affect what happens as far as in the outcome? And so we're saying 2 totally different things that are eerily similar as far as the way to view it.
They really are. And another thing, John, that I was thinking about with a game, things can go wrong, right? Things can happen that's unexpected, but how the team reacts to that, well, that determines oftentimes the outcome. There's usually these crucial moments in a game where everything shifts. Yeah. And how that team responds, that determines do they win or do they lose. Well, in our financial life, we all know life's not static. Things change constantly, but how we make those decisions around that change can really have a big impact on where we end up going, right? Yeah. And so what I would encourage you all to do, think about your plan. There's probably a few areas that if they're players, they may be underperforming. And John, when you think about our 4 pillars, what do you typically see, just on an average, what 2 areas oftentimes are underlooked by other wealth advisors or even some of our clients?
Everybody loves to talk investments. Yeah. And now we're not even talking quality of investments. I mean, everyone loves talking to the guy that can dunk. But who knows what his total game is, right? And so you go and talk. It doesn't matter who you talk to. You talk to Ed Jones. You talk to Merrill. You talk to Shearson, whoever it is. And what are they going to talk about? Their investment performance. I believe as far as outcome, investments have to perform However, it's not the most important thing.
Right.
And so we see people totally not looking at their tax strategy. And folks, I see people giving away tens of thousands of dollars a year in extra taxes that they should not. Well, that affects the outcome of the game. I think that one is never covered. I think the structure of the income plan, and when it comes to the structure of the income plan, it's really about how does the income plan, I need X number of dollars a month. If I can decrease taxes, I actually increase my chance of success.
Right.
And so what can we do as far as your money? How is it invested in which tax bucket? Is it in the tax always bucket? If all your money's in taxed always, and you need to all of a sudden take income every month, and they have an emergency come up, a bunch of 25K out, that's always taxed.
Right.
Ends up cost you money. And so that tax planning one is oftentimes overlooked. And the other one that's overlooked a lot, it really is the risk side.
Right.
What are the risks that are inherent in my source of the game to accomplish it? So let's say we have a basketball game, and you have your number 3 player, your wing player, who's out there hitting a lot of threes. But all of a sudden they go up and shoot, and they get undercut, they come down, they twist their foot,
Right.
broken leg, they're out. Did you evaluate that risk before it happened? Did the coach look to say, let's say, what if each of our key players goes down?
Yep.
What are the adjustments? What's our backup plan? How do we actually do? It's the same thing on our investment plan.
Right.
It's the same thing on our income plan. If all of a sudden then you go through life and you've never considered what happens if I need hip surgery?
Right.
What happens if I have a mobility issue and now I have a medical care cost that's going to be this, and we never considered it? Very few plans, I said very few, Drew, we're talking less, I don't know the number, is minuscule. Maybe 1% of the plans actually consider all of the risk involved. And so risk is not just a stock market.
Right.
It's not just, inflation. Risk is what happens if. And you have to evaluate every single player and say what happens to the plan if this happens, and then you have a backup plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So folks, what I would encourage you to think about is, what if this happens? Think about what is that impact that maybe you really don't want to live through, right? Then sit down and reach out to your advisor and say, hey, can we just do a recap of my plan? If this happens, how does that impact things? Whatever that question is, don't hesitate to ask. Our team loves to walk through those big picture conversations because that's what we're here for. That's really what drives us every single day. And so, John, when you think about March Madness and you think about finances, we've shown the connection there. But what's one thought you'd send everyone out into the week with?
I'll tell you, one thought's a memory. And years ago, my friend Matt and I, Matt was a CPA controller of a local company, we would get together on the first day of March Madness. We blocked off our calendars. We'd go and sit over at Chili's, and we'd order a whole bunch of chips and a drink and some wings, and we would sit there and have fun. We'd laugh. We'd watch some games. We'd talk. We'd create memories. And when it comes to our wealth management, it's not just about the individual components of our income plan, our investments, our structuring our risk plan, structuring our income tax plan, our estate plan. Those are all important to make sure you pay attention to. But what was so important about March Madness was the community I was in. I was hanging out with Matt. I'm hanging out with you guys. We're watching games. Our friends come over to our house. It's the community. It's the memories that we create.
Yep.
When it comes to our wealth management, it's not just about getting a better return, paying the least amount of taxes. It's truly about saying, let's structure our goals for things that are significant to you. All the things in life that money cannot buy, that's your true wealth definition. Center everything on that, and you're going to see incredible things.
Yeah, love it. That's a big thing for all of us to think through, right? So guys, if you have any questions, reach out to your advisor. We'd love to have a conversation with you. Thank you for the time. We look forward to talking to you all soon.